Faster than writing to a letter forum, more thoughtful than angry clickbait, able to discuss the world's first superhero in comics, film, TV, and more, it's the Supermaniacs, and we are here to not talk about Superman specifically, but some Superman-adjacent media. I'm very excited to talk about Peacemaker Season 2. I'm Fathery, this is Mike. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I just ordered, as I mentioned off camera, or off mic, I ordered a Superman jacket. For you who don't know, you can buy, when the movie came out, they came out with a hoodie, a Superman hoodie, and so I found it on sale at a place called Her Universe. This isn't an ad, by the way. This is just me. I literally found it online. I'm amazed it's not sold out. I think it's because Superman merchandise still isn't like a sellout thing. So there's plenty of them out there still, from what I can tell. So I'd say go ahead and get one if you guys love Superman, because it's getting colder, and it's the perfect time to buy a new jacket.
Yeah, if you're watching us on YouTube in the live audience,
again, not an ad
right there. But yeah,
just where I
don't
bought
get a
it
piece
from.
of that or anything.
No, I don't. Yeah,
but
I just think it's cool, and there's not a lot of Superman merchandise that's like a cool hoodie, if that makes sense. Because a lot of hoodies, like Superman-wise, are like pretty garbage. They're usually just like, it's a baseball jacket with a little Superman symbol on the side of it, or it's a hoodie with like a really fucking defeated Superman symbol. Like a lot of nonsense jackets, you know what I mean? Like the ones you find at Walmart for like $20.
This is a good hoodie though. It's you got the zip up, got the front pocket. I like that. I don't like the straight up pullover hoodies. I like the ones I can unzip.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this one. Yeah, that's the other thing. I'm a big fan of unzipping hoodies because I have a lot of Spider-Man ones like that, but I don't have any Superman ones because they don't normally make them. The only one that I had was it's not even an official Superman jacket. It's a Superman Beyond bomber jacket that I bought from a place called Destructo Disc Designs, but they're like a seasonal thing. Like they show up with some designs that are like, they're clearly like licensed designs, but they call them other things, like just the red and blue thingamajig or whatever sort of thing. And that's why they get away with it, because it's a seasonal thing. They just like order during this time, and then we'll send them to you, and then we'll never make them again, type of thing.
If they're calling themselves Destructo Disc, I would assume there's going to be a certain anime franchise that's probably like, hey, it's really easy to make like a orange and blue hoodie that looks like a certain anime character's uniform.
Yeah, they do a lot of superhero ones. I bought all my 2099 Spider-Man jackets from them. I'm always tempted to buy the bomber. They call it the blue and yellow bomber jacket, but it's clearly just Cyclops' fucking outfit. So I'm always tempted to get that one. And I also bought one of my old bosses bought an Iron Fist hoodie from them years ago. But they always just say the colors of them. They never really say what it is. You just see the image clearly, but like, if you searched for it, you wouldn't know that's what it's supposed to be. But again, this is just me buying random stuff over the years. You can also find stuff similar to that online. eBay makes a lot of knockoff stuff like that nowadays too.
You know, the funny thing now with Peacemaker being this character who has been around for decades, but yet not a character anyone has given a shit about except for a few years. But I'm starting to see Peacemaker merch, like the Dove of Peace logo, as much hilariousness as they milk out of that in the TV show.
It's crazy how often I will be looking for something and it's like, did you mean you want a Peacemaker jacket or a Peacemaker hoodie? In fact, that same website has a Peacemaker jersey that, like, it looks like his shirt, but the back says Peacemaker 00 on it. And it's just like, god damn, we live in a world with Peacemaker merchandise. That's weird.
I guess that is one of the exciting aspects of taking the guy who made Guardians of the Galaxy, one of the most popular Marvel properties ever, and putting him in charge of DC. Is now it's like, oh yeah, any DC character, no matter how obscure or unpopular, has the potential to become like a massive pop culture hit. You just have to cast John Cena to play them.
Yeah, it turns out he's the wrestler you need. Well, actually, because it was him and Bautista. It turns out if you get The Rock, that's where you fuck up.
Gunn wrote the part for Batista.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. Batista talked about that recently.
And it was like a scheduling thing. But
He
It
was
worked
making
out.
Zack Snyder's
Oh, that
zombie
zombie
movie.
movie.
He was making the
Yeah.
zombie movie at the time.
And it's crazy how much overlap there is between Snyder and Gunn. Like even like before all the DC stuff, they did their zombie movie together, the Dawn of the Dead remake. So
Yeah, don't tell this to Snyder fans, but Zack Snyder and James Gunn are very good friends.
no, 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 no. I heard that they hate each other and that James Gunn's gonna be fired and that the Snyderverse will come back on Netflix.
Yeah, and that James Gunn will die a horrific death the second it happens, that sort of thing.
He's gonna go to the Salvation Planet. Snyder's gonna send him.
That's exactly how I feel like that. If that thing existed, I would send a lot of random fandoms there, just because I think it would be funny.
There's definitely a lot of DC fans that it would be very tempting to pull a Rick Flag Sr. on them.
They signed it. See, they volunteered.
But yeah, Peacemaker in and of itself, I guess we should, kind of talk about just like that character's existence in the new DCU. But there was not like an initial plan to make like this TV show a big cornerstone of this new universe. It was more that was just one of the big characters in the Suicide Squad. And have you ever listened to the Peacemaker podcast that HBO Max did?
No, I always meant to because I saw that they were doing it like because I'm a big fan of usually behind the scenes stuff, but I was worried I'd get spoiled on stuff that would happen later on. And so I never went back and listened to them all because they did one every time an episode came out. And apparently, everybody's doing that now. Even though
Yeah.
I was in the building had an ad for theirs, they're like, "Listen to the Only Murders in the Building podcast about the show," and I'm like, "Man, everybody's doing it." But unlike everybody else, James Gunn is legitimately like has things to say about everything at all times, which is one of the reasons why a lot of quotes and stuff about what James Gunn was talking about came from those podcasts. And I thought that was really cool. But I know I didn't really get a chance to like fully listen to one though. Like I heard clips here and there because there was stuff that like he was surprised by people reacting to type things.
It was pretty insightful, though. I listened to all of it, and one of the things he mentioned in there was that when he made the Suicide Squad, Warner Brothers came to him and asked him, "Do you want to do a TV show on HBO about any of these characters?" And he chose Peacemaker, but it could have been anything. It could have been like the Ratcatcher show. It could have been I guess it could have been like the Polka Dot Man show. It could have gone a lot of different ways.
Yeah, he could have easily made a show with Idris Elba. He could have easily made. He could have easily not killed Rick Flag and made a show about Rick Flag and his adventures with Argus type of thing. He could have made it all about Amanda Waller if he wanted to. He could have made it all about fucking a Calendar Man that's in there because it's his brother type of thing. Like he easily could have done like this. He could have taken the smallest thing out of that movie and done something with it, and no one would have questioned it. It's crazy.
But yeah, it's really cool. He seems to have a lot of fun taking these lesser known characters like Peacemaker or even like Vigilante or like, in Creature Commandos, like the DC version of Frankenstein. A lot of these characters are very different from how they're traditionally depicted. And he's kind of talked about it on that podcast that his reasoning behind that is that the less well known a character is, the more freedom he feels like he has to create their own personality.
Which makes sense because if you took Superman and you made him Peacemaker, like of course everybody would riot. Or if you took Batman and Batman was now being like dick joke, you would be like, what the fuck? But the second you take somebody like fucking Vigilante, you're gonna anger some people, but it's this is gonna sound fucked up, but it's like 12 people type of
Yeah.
The reason I say that sounds fucked up is because they do exist. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of every now and then you'll go on a subreddit or something and you'll see a guy being like, he ruined my favorite random side character, Peter Quill, and you're just like, man, people cared about Peter Quill beforehand, and then like, yeah, and then the rest of the world just is fine with it. But James Gunn just does it better than the MCU does for other characters usually, because there's so many characters that will happen to, but they don't stick correctly, if that makes sense, when they try doing synergy type things. But when James Gunn does it, that thing just it explodes and it stays like that. Like Peacemaker is now a household name, which is fucking weird.
Yeah, he's almost kind of like the Deadpool of DC at this point. I guess that's probably Harley Quinn, but people still kind of associate Harley Quinn as like, okay, Harley Quinn's a Batman character, you know? Like I feel like Peacemaker is more of his own guy, you know? That's kind of like how Deadpool is. No one ever like associates Deadpool with the X-Men or X-Force these days. It's more like, oh yeah, Deadpool, he's his own guy.
Yeah, that's the thing about Harley. Whenever they try doing that with Harley Quinn, they keep pushing Harley Quinn as this like, oh, we're gonna make her this wacky Deadpool character. But the back of your mind is like, no, she's a Gotham thing. She should
Yeah.
never like really leave Gotham all that much. And they keep doing it. They keep being like, and then she goes on wacky adventures, and people were just like, I don't give a shit about any of this. And then once they put her together with Poison Ivy, now she's pigeonholed in only stories with her now. So that's even a whole thing. Whereas with Peacemaker, you can do whatever the fuck you want with him. No one will bat an eyelash. There's very few people that are like, you remember when Peacemaker talked to a dead Nazi ghost that was his dad? You're like, yeah, I don't think anybody remembers that part. It's like, yeah, but you remember when he like said Sonic Boom Helmet activate and they did something fucking cool? You're like, yeah, I remember that. And so you can just do whatever you want with that. And it works because for the majority of people, he is the blankest slate. Even for comic book fans that I know, he is a blank slate because he was so rarely used after he was used in whatchamacallit, because he was one of the characters that used to be part of
Yeah, he's
the
a
stuff that Blue
Charlton.
Beetle. Yeah.
Yeah, a Charlton Comics character. He was actually the basis for the comedian in Watchmen.
Yes.
Originally, Alan Moore was going to use all Charlton characters. Um, and
You know
then
how little people care about him? He was turned into Boba Fett in Kingdom Come, and none of us noticed. None of us noticed. Because who the fuck gives a shit about Peacemaker?
he showed up in like the Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle comics. I don't know if you know about this, but that's one of the few times I ever crossed paths with Peacemaker previous to James Gunn's Suicide Squad.
I generally couldn't tell you if I've ever saw Peacemaker prior to the movie. This happens though, because every now and then I'll go back and I'll read a comic, be like, oh yeah, that guy wasn't there. Like when Big Hero 6 came out, I went back and I read some old Spider-Man comics I was reading. It's like, oh yeah, Big Hero 6 showed up in this Ends of Earth thing, and that was like mid 2000s, and I fucking forgot about that too. It's crazy. Like it's crazy how easily it is to like, because again, nobody cared. Like it's the thing with Big Hero 6. That's another great example. Somebody just was like, let's make a Disney animated movie about it, and had like the smallest thing in common with that comic. And it became its own thing. It became so big, you know, it sold a bunch of action figures. It got its own television show. There was some big interest in that thing for a while. It was shocking it never got past that point. But I guess because Disney just didn't know what to do with it after a certain point. And then that one guy losing his mind, because he was also in that movie. The guy who played Weasel in Deadpool, he lost his fucking mind.
Oh yeah. He's like blacklisted in Hollywood now. But it sounds like there was. I don't remember what it was, but it sounded like yeah, it was probably for the best.
It's a lot of different things from what I hear. But Hunter Iggy just mentioned that there's a Jimmy Olsen show that got greenlit, which I'm very excited about.
It has the. This is news to me. Like that's
as far as I heard, it was supposed to be greenlit, but I'm not. I would have to double check that, I guess, if that's the case.
I knew that was always like the plan was they had an idea for a Jimmy Olsen show and an idea for a Mr. Terrific show, but I didn't hear it.
Here it is. This is actually for not even that long ago. It says DC Studios taps American Vandal creators for Jimmy Olsen TV spinoff.
Well,
so it's moving forward.
that is awesome.
DC Crime.
Is this breaking news? Like,
I didn't see this until right now. This was from 3 hours ago, so I would just have gotten out of work.
Yeah, the beauties of doing things live. Well, that's cool. That'd be a fun thing to talk about soon. We could probably do like a whole show just talking about the potential for a Jimmy Olsen show. But
it says it might involve Gorilla Grodd,
and it could also allow any of the Peacemaker season 2 characters to show up over there. You know, it'd be very easy. And that's one of the things that Peacemaker season 2 ends with, you know, with Checkmate, with Salvation. It would be very easy to play with that stuff in other DC shows or movies.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
very excited. Mostly
but
to you can flesh
before,
out the DC. Sorry, not the DC. The Daily Planet cast more, and that would be very exciting too.
yeah, I definitely want to see those people in that show. Yeah, have Jimmy be the lead, have everyone else be the supporting cast, and then maybe have like Clark and Lois show up once or twice, kind of like how Lex did in the
Yeah,
show.
make Ron Troop a main fucking character. Make up for what you did in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, the movie did him wrong. I appreciate the brisk runtime, but like, could y'all not have like left in a little bit more Ron Troop?
That poor guy.
Uh, so with Peacemaker season 2, we get like that recap at the beginning of the season that basically explains like how they were going to handle the post Superman new universe continuity. Some of season 1 still counts, some of it doesn't, but pretty much all of it does. It's pretty clear though that if James Gunn didn't like love making the show, and if HBO Max didn't love the show being very successful, they never would have done this kind of messy continuity reshuffling. I think if it wasn't for Peacemaker, it just would have been like a clean reboot with the movie.
Yeah, because as far as we know, it was renewed. One, the Snyderverse was still
Mm-hmm.
considered intact because, like you mentioned, Peacemaker was not supposed to be a big thing. It was just sort of him fucking around, making jokes about the expense of superheroes, sort of thing. Because Peacemaker doesn't know any better, and so to make the first thing that happens when you watch Peacemaker season 2 is previously in the DCU is ballsy as shit because you retconned both movies you made for DC as the actual beginning of the DC universe, and that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it is. But you know, it's kind of an interesting thing to explain to someone. Like, if I want to see all of the new DC stuff now, well, it's be like, okay, well, you have to watch Suicide Squad if you want to see everything, but not the first one, the second one. But some of the stuff from that first one will come up in Peacemaker season 2.
That also blew me away, by the way.
uh, But the that was something that just like immediately just kind of seemed like such like a easy fix though, to have the Justice Gang as the stand-in for the Justice League at the end of Peacemaker season 1. Like I kind of felt it like initially with Superman. Okay, having these heroes call themselves the Justice Gang, that's kind of a weird name, the Justice Gang, right? We were all wondering like, is that like a really official name? Is that just something they came out with for the toys? But seeing how they were able to use it to kind of retcon in that Justice League stuff, it's like, I don't know. I like Peacemaker season 1 so much. I love having that mostly in continuity. I love having a season 2 in the new universe. So I thought it was actually kind of a good way to go about it. But
Yeah, again, season 2 is a ballsy thing to do because most people were expecting a full reboot, like everything starts over. But James Gunn was just like, look, this stuff is too good. I've already set up a lot of stuff here. And I've even already added some of those characters within my Superman stuff, like Creature Commandos. I've already mentioned Waller. I've already mentioned Frank Grillo is Rick Flag
Rick
Sr.
Flag.
He's like, so we're gonna have Rick Flag Sr. He's in Superman. Like everything is already set up. All I have to do is tweak some things. Like it's clear at the end of season 1 that season was going to go somewhere else, and then season 2 goes in a completely different direction because now he's like, oh, now I can set up everything from here on in my TV MA as fuck, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
television show, which is again super ballsy. It's like if you made Captain America the first Avenger, and then the next thing you made was a TV show about crossbones that started with an orgy that sets up the Avengers. You would be very, very confused very quickly.
That is kind.
Like, what the fuck?
It is kind of the fun thing of seeing these characters that we saw in Superman, but now we get to see like the rated R part of their life. So
Yeah, James Gunn's just like, look, the DC universe fucks. Like he
yeah,
immediately immediately looked everyone in the eye and just said that as loud as possible.
It is a hornier universe than the MCU, and it is a bit more crass and graphic
You remember it was
and
a big deal that in Eternals they had a quote unquote sex scene that lasts like all of 10 seconds. And
yeah,
they're
and
like,
it
oh my
tries to
god, sex exists in the MC universe. Meanwhile, I'm seeing full bush in fucking Peacemaker.
yeah, no, like Eternals is like we're gonna be like all artsy with our sex scene, but still very PG-13. And then Peacemaker season 2 is just like, yeah, we're just gonna put like dicks and tits in everyone's face. It's like naked dudes, naked women. It was a freaky ass orgy scene that I found out from the Peacemaker podcast that the guy who plays John Economos, Steve Agee, like he didn't even know what he was going to be walking into. Like when he like looks into the window at the orgy, it's just like James Gunn was like, "Oh yeah, I want to have like the most craziest part right here when my actor turns the corner and looks just so we can capture his reaction."
I love that. That's so insane. That's another relationship that I think is interesting that James Gunn made. Because I didn't know for this for a long time that the guy who plays Economos is he was the mocap for King Shark.
Yeah, yeah, because in the Peacemaker podcast, he was talking about, oh yeah, I was in Peru when we were, shooting this movie, and I'm thinking like, wait a minute, you were like back at Argus that whole movie. Why were you down there when they were shooting down there? I was like, oh, I didn't realize you were King Shark. So
That's another thing that blew me away. So when I watched Peacemaker season 2, I watched it like twice. Is that or kind of because I wasn't done at the time. My girlfriend decided she wanted to watch Peacemaker with me
hmm
because she really loved Superman. I'm like, okay, well, this is the continuation of what happens after that. But she's like, but we're gonna do this right. So for some reason, she started with Suicide Squad, the first one, and so I watched that with her all the way into Peacemaker season 2, and I had forgot how fucking prominent Economos and fucking
Hardcore.
Harcourt, how like front and center those two are in that the Suicide Squad movie. Like I was blown away. I was like, I could have sworn you were just some like random things in the background. So seeing
Yeah,
them talk as much as they did, and then like be such an integral part to the third act, that blew me away.
and they're both characters from the comics, but they're both characters that like I don't know about them from the like John Economos, I guess, showed up in some Ostrander Suicide Squad stuff, and he was like named after someone who Ostrander knew in real life. But
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff that's used in some of these because there's another character that shows up in season 2 that I forgot was an actual character who is a an Argus agent
oh,
who
Sasha Bordeaux,
yeah
the
I
cyborg.
completely forgot she existed in the
Yeah,
comics
she had
until they
a
were like she's a cyborg. I'm like, wait a second.
she had a love interest with Bruce when they did like that Bruce Wayne fugitive story or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, and then she was a cyborg in the Checkmate comics around Crisis on Infinite Earths, which Waller was a part of. So
yeah, there's a lot of characters, okay, but he's really good at that. He grabs characters that most people don't know about and adds them within it. And the use of the idea of what happened in Superman being integral to the plot of season 2 was also a very amazing thing to do because they don't shy away from the fact that this is a post Superman television show. Like the ending, of course, is like, it clearly takes place maybe beforehand, is what I'm thinking. Like maybe a month or so, probably before everything goes down, because there's a time jump between the beginning of the show of the season 2 to
right.
that scene. So I'm thinking that he maybe he got interviewed by the television stuff before that point, and then he had his crash out, and then the Superman stuff maybe happened, and
Yeah,
then we end up where we are now.
they have it kind of coded the timeline because they say in Peacemaker season 2 that the events of Superman took place in the summer. So they like, yeah, like the thing in Metropolis that happened this summer. And then like in that first scene of the season, it's
It's like winter.
Christopher Smith like out in the snow. So yeah, that lets you know like, okay, this must have been like back in like January, February of this year, and then you had like the
Okay.
events of Superman in the summer, and then like this show is like set during like the fall.
Okay, then yeah, no, that makes perfect sense then if that's the case. Yeah, it's such a ballsy thing to do to be like, hey, you remember that super not kid friendly but like more family friendly movie? Its follow up is this TVMA thing where everything that happened had real consequences, which I thought was really crazy because there's a lot of consequences to what happened there. Because Lex is in prison, he's not going to see the light of day anytime soon, but he's got some pull because he's Lex Luthor. And then because this is the thing that I was surprised by because of the way the season ended was that it's clear that not only Rick Flag Sr. but the U.S. government took to heart what the Superman and the Justice Gang did at the end of that movie. Because a lot of people, if you guys haven't seen the movie, if you haven't, I don't know why you're listening to this, is that Superman and the Justice Gang stopped the war, but not only that, but the Justice Gang themselves stopped the war. Because it's one thing they're already expecting Superman to be, not fully on their side, but the Justice Gang are like representatives of an American corporation, but they're all metahumans still. Don't get me wrong, but they're like stopping an international incident type of thing. And the end of the movie has Rick Flag Sr. and I can't remember what his position was, but he's like a member of the U.S. government. He's just like a secretary or one of the secretaries of something. I don't remember his specific role. Oh yeah, the Secretary of Defense, Stephen Morey. I had to look it up because I had to be sure because I don't even remember if they say his name in Superman. But that movie ends with that guy looking Rick Flag being like, they run the world now. They did this on their own accords. They didn't ask us anything about it. Like, it's all in the subtext. They don't say this exactly out loud, but he's clearly saying we are redundant now in a world full of metahumans. And it's very, very clear that Rick Flag and him took that shit personally because the ending of the season does not bode well.
Yeah, and they foreshadow it in the first episode when Peacemaker does his Justice Gang tryout, his audition. In that interview, Sean Gunn as Maxwell Lord says, "Oh, we're kind of taking some heat after what we just did, after what Hot Girl just did. So, we see here that you've actually served time for murder. We're not sure if we want to have you on our team. We're trying to clean up our image." So it's something that they're concerned with too, and we might see the Justice Gang side of that explored more at some point in the future.
Yeah, James Gunn at one point, I don't remember if it's an interview or a podcast or something, was just like, because everybody's like, oh, she just killed that guy and nothing really came of it. And he's like, oh no, that's not how life works. So you can kill that. You can kill as many people as you want, but that shit's going to catch up to you.
I think he said that in a thread post. He said that we would see consequences to that.
And that's what I like about it is that immediately James Gunn's like, because a lot of the criticism of Man of Steel is that people didn't think that Clark really took any blowback for what happened in Metropolis, and so a lot of people gave him shit for that. And Batman versus Superman tried to fuck with that, but didn't really do very well with it. And even then, it wasn't even about what happened in Metropolis. Where this is like, no, this is that movie. There are stakes, and those stakes are not done. And I think that's really interesting because the entire time in that first episode, when Peacemaker's thing portal's opening and they're sensing it, they're like, we don't want another Metropolis on our hands. Like, this is like we don't know what to do with this. But it's clear that Rick Flag has some different ideas for it, at least in the beginning of the season.
And we get the big Lex cameo in episode 6 that Gunn had said at one point. I remember him saying that one of the big 3 would show up in Peacemaker season 2. But yeah, that scene is so famous that is currently what HBO Max uses as the tile on the menu for Peacemaker. It's just like that shot of Nicholas Hoult in the orange jumpsuit.
Is it really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, like I used that as the thumbnail for this podcast episode, and I'm like, is that too spoilery to show Lex in Peacemaker like over a month after it aired? And it's like, oh, HBO is doing it on their freaking streaming service, so
Oh,
I guess
yeah.
I'm not spoiling anything.
It's not really a thing.
Um,
Not really an issue then. Yeah, because Crypto fucked him up even more than we anticipated. Because that motherfucker's walking with a cane.
right, right. So that's got to be because of crypto, right? Is that what they were implying there?
I think that's the implication is that Crypto fucked him up so bad he was still healing over that time. Because he broke his arm, he threw his ass around.
Yeah.
Like that's not an easy thing to like come back from. Although I do know that Nicholas Hoult in real life had like foot surgery or something. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was just like a thing that he needed to do the scene in general. So that would have been interesting.
Yeah, that might have gave them the idea because they could probably shoot around that if they needed to. He was only
Yeah.
in that one scene, but
Yeah, I found out from the Smart List podcast. He did the Smart List before one Superman came out. He talked about he had fucked up his foot doing something, like doing another movie or something like that.
I kind of wanted Lex to keep some scars on his head from Crypto. I thought that would just be kind of a cool look if he was permanently scarred in the DCU. Just nothing too over the top, just like something kind of subtle. And I guess instead of that, they gave him a cane for his next appearance. And
It also would be really difficult because he actually shaves his head each time, so it's like you can't really keep that consistent. If his
yeah,
head
I guess
keeps
that would
growing.
having a makeup prosthetic would complicate things a little bit. But I was pretty happy to see him, and it's what you were talking about though. With you get kind of the rated R version of these people. But it was Lex in prison where
Yeah,
he has like a little bit more. He's more cursy. You know, he's using more curse words, but it's like yeah, you know, he's not doing like you know, corporate image type stuff. Like when Rick Flag is asking him about Peacemaker, and Lex says, "Oh, is this guy a metahuman?" And Flag says, "No, he's just a costume vigilante." And then Lex says, "Well, who cares?" Or no, he says, "Who gives a shit?"
yeah. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Lex Luthor has been hardened by prison. He's seen some shit, and he's willing to tell you that he's seen some shit.
He's seen a bear-sized man with dragon skin, butt fucking a glowing twink with cartoon eyes next to him. So
Everybody's
every
trying
night.
to figure out what that means, but it's just like it's clearly just a fucking throwaway line.
Yeah, I guess it could be I don't know, Killer Croc could be a bear-sized man with dragon skin. We saw Killer Croc in Bell Rev in the first Suicide Squad. I don't know about the cartoon eyes, who that would be, but
That one I'm not sure because I doubt it's Doctor Phosphorus. But
Gunn
'cause he
said
doesn't
it's
have
not
cartoon eyes.
phosphorus.
Yeah, that's
Gunn
the
said
thing, yeah.
definitely not Foss.
That would have been fucking funny as shit though. But it's clear that Frank. I keep saying Frank because that's the actor's name, Frank Grillo. It's clear that Rick Flag Sr. has been influenced immensely by his experience with metahumans. Because for people who haven't watched Creature Commandos, he got fucked up by Clayface, like bad.
Yeah.
Like he got baned by fucking Clayface. And then to come back from that and then find out that, you know, his son died surrounded by some metahumans, and then finding out, you know, that even though like Superman has his best intentions, everybody else still fucking did the same thing because he felt like Superman was like an anomaly to him. It feels like that's what it feels like. It feels like because he seems very apologetic to Superman in the movie, but it's clear that he's also like, but also you don't have any rights, so you're kind of an anomaly. So it seems like he was willing to give Superman some leeway. He's like, you're technically not even a U.S. citizen. You're not even like an Earthling, so you know we could probably get away. Like, yeah, I get it, type of thing. But with everybody else, it's like you guys are all fucking crazy. And with all that, like it's clear that he's slowly losing his mind. And throughout season 2 of Peacemaker, you feel like it's just fucking dropping.
He's in a really weird headspace at the end of the season, almost like where he kind of feels like a different character. Like I've seen theories like you know, is he being like influenced by Darkseid or brainwashed by someone, or like, you know, why is he like this, what corrupted him, or is it just that you know, after partnering with Lex, after like trying to deal with this guy Peacemaker who killed his son, who he just wants to remove these problems from the earth. He, you know, he says at one point, he's like, I I don't care about punishment. I'm not sending them to this planet to punish them. I'm doing this to get rid of them.
Yeah, he wants to protect humanity because in my opinion, it's a good man who's fallen, and he doesn't even understand how far he's fallen so quickly. Because and also that he was always a government agent guy. He was a government man, and it's clear that he didn't truly care about anything that was going on. Because he betrays a lot of people forget again if you haven't seen Creatures Commandos, he betrays his team there too. Motherfucker does not know how to keep in his pants for one, this kind of thing, and so he and it's clear even in season 2 that he doesn't know how to do that. It's clear that he hits on a hardcore. Although Harcourt doesn't seem to realize it because she's like, "Well, you're the dad of my ex friends with benefits type of thing." Like she doesn't consider him that way, but it clearly with Bordeaux was like, "Yeah, let's do this shit," type of thing. And so it's just like the man is just he was already kind of fucked up to begin with, and after talking to Lex, and Lex is like, "I got a great plan but I need whatever it is he's using." And it'll help us get rid of metahumans. Because that was the thing that he tells Lex. He's like, I can't get you out of prison, but I can redeem you, or I can give you a redemption for what you were trying. Because it seems that at that point, Rick is on his side, type of thing. He's like, this whole thing has been fucking up my life and my family's life. Even my son's ex-girlfriend's a fucking witch. This is like what are we doing here, type of thing, is what he's thinking. But it's clear that he's like clearly lost his mind by the end of it because he doesn't give a shit about his team just fucking dying left and right once they get the portal.
And that was the part that felt really weird, is when he becomes so buddy with all of the or I guess they're Luthor Corp in the DCU.
Yeah, they're all Luthor Corp people.
But when they all come over, like Sidney Happerson and Otis and there's two brothers, right? They were there, but like
they're pretty much all there. Like
yeah.
I don't know how many of them didn't end up in this show.
And they're all like deep
like
cuts from the comics. They're all just like rando LexCorp employees from like the Dan Jurgens days.
Yeah, and it's really fun to see that that Otis is back, and so is Sydney and all these guys. Like he just was like, you guys all knew how this thing works, so I'm gonna bring your whole fucking team here, even in the building that they used to try to kill Superman. He's just like, yeah, hang out in here. It's just fucking crazy.
There's that line from I think it's Harcourt and Economos are talking, but I think it's Harcourt who says like, well, Otis is all right. Otis is cool. I like Otis.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everybody's cool with Otis except for fucking Economos. He's like, fuck Otis. They all suck.
More of getting to see like the rated R side of life. I'm sure this was going on when they were working for Lex in the skyscraper, but when they're like having their big celebration, snorting coke at their desks, and then like Otis walks by and they're all like, "Oh shit, the boss is here." But like I'm sure that was going on. They just couldn't show it in the PG-13 movie.
Well, that's the funniest thing. Yeah, like you said, we just see the other side of it because those people were clearly already psychopaths to begin with. They joined Luthor willingly and were like, "Hey, we're gonna kill Superman," and they're like, "Hell yeah, let's do this shit." Like they did not give a fuck. And the fact that like the government's just like, "Here's a bunch of drugs," and everybody's just like, "Yeah, they seem cool." It's like, what the fuck?
And then the big salvation setup at the end, but the idea of using the quantum unfolding technology combined with Lex's know-how, they can now establish a direct portal to the Salvation Planet whenever they want. They can just, it's like the ultimate black site prison. It's like instead of Trump deporting immigrants and sending them to a prison in El Salvador, he sends them to somewhere that's like not even on the map. Like if you want me to bring these people back, like you can't even find where they are because it's not on the planet.
Yeah, it turns out the Salvador stands for salvation.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just fucking, it's crazy to me that like Lex and them. For people who don't know, you can find this. This is a storyline that takes place around the time of 52, which is like right after Crisis or Infinite Crisis. And at that point, Superman is in powers. A bunch of shit happens, sort of thing. The government decides they're going to throw a bunch of supervillains into a planet that they found. Like, it's a super peaceful planet. Nothing bad happens here. We're just going to throw all our meta-human supervillains into it. With the help of the Suicide Squad, which they hunt down a bunch of people. And then at the end, they just throw the majority of them in there with them. But it turns out the planet is actually like a training ground for Apocalypse or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
At least this is the comic book thing. According to James Gunn, he's probably not going to do that part of it because he felt like Darkseid is already like, he felt like Darkseid's too big to do right away, and the fact that Snyder did him or was trying to do him originally,
right,
like, they probably aren't going to steer straight into the Apocalypse right away.
I mean, I hate to say it, but let's just admit it. MCU already did Darkseid better than DC was looking like they were going to do Darkseid. Like, MCU basically took Thanos from the Marvel comics and turned him into DC's Darkseid.
Yes, that is the other thing, because he also said something about that too. He's like, look, the MCU already did Thanos. If we do Darkseid now, we're just going to look like we're part of that. But he's not wrong, because the Justice League doesn't really fight Darkseid all that much to begin with. Darkseid didn't used to be this big bad. He used to be a guy who was just sort of he was the super devil. He just hung out in his planet and sent people to do his dirty work. He wasn't really the guy until Superman the Animated Series really solidified that.
You know how they should introduce Darkseid, though? They should do it in the Jimmy Olsen show, because that's how he first appeared, was in Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen.
And what they should do is they should still keep him kind of comedic. Like, just don't do anything different with it. And I think that would be fucking funny. But yeah, because that would be a really fun deep cut way of doing Darkseid, just somewhere in the background. Oh, that's the other thing that cracks me up, because everybody's like, Darkseid's always been like a really cool ultimate villain, and then you just have to be like, he showed up in Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen predates Darkseid by a lot. He was not really all that important to begin with.
It was always like other media trying to overemphasize Darkseid to have like a big bad. It was, it started with like Super Friends, and then
and then Superman the Animated Series is the only one I think that did it correctly, which is that Darkseid was always behind everything, but he never really confronted anybody, because he never and with the few times he does confront people, he's like OP as shit. So the few times like Superman confronts him feels like important type of thing. And then the same with and also making sure that you had all the New God stuff in the middle of it. Like they did it all exactly the way you're supposed to. Everything tied the way it was supposed to. Whereas Zack Snyder's like, yeah, but what if he just needed the anti-life and he forgot the planet he was on because he got his ass beat, and he's like, I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is Darkseid we're talking about. He's supposed to be like the ultimate fucking dude, and he gets his ass beat and just forgets. That's stupid. And then the New 52 didn't help. New 52 is like, what if Darkseid was like a fucking 10-story motherfucker who growls and shoots some mega beams at people and stuff? You're like, man, that's not really like they turned Darkseid into like a kaiju is what it felt like. Like, did you ever see the action figure for Darkseid for the New 52? For people who don't know what I'm talking about, look this up. The New 52 Darkseid and the New 52 Justice League.
The ugly Jim Lee design.
In fact, I have the Superman back there somewhere, but they're all like, they're like 7 inches tall. The Darkseid was like massive. It was this gigantic fucking figure, like that dwarfed everything that they made at that point. And I was just like, why? Why would you do this to Darkseid? Like, you made Darkseid the least interesting character in your new universe. It was just very frustrating.
That was
Darkseid hasn't recovered since.
Yeah, it was one of the first red flags of the New 52. As I was like, man, y'all came up with some really weird designs, but did you really have to redesign Darkseid? Like, you couldn't have just stuck with the classic Jack Kirby look.
Yeah, they decided Darkseid wasn't cool looking, so they made him wear this like blue gold armor that had like an Omega symbol. It looked like something that fucking Kratos would unlock in a God of War like game as an outfit. And you're like, but why though? Like, well, because he needs to look like a badass supervillain. I'm like, he looked awesome. from his original design. You never needed to change that design. In fact, it's so cool that it was the same for since he started until the New 52 hit. It was kind of ridiculous.
But let me ask you this: having the Salvation storyline being a thing in the in James Gunn's DCU, but knowing that it probably won't tie into the New Gods at all, how do you feel about that? Like, is that a good thing, a bad thing, just kind of meh?
I am more curious as to what he's going to do with it, because here's the thing about Salvation Run. It was a big nothing burger. Nothing really happens in it. It ends, and you're just like, okay, cool. And honestly, stuff after that doesn't even feel like anybody who wrote comics after it even read what happens, because a lot of random supervillains die in Salvation Run that you do know come back. So you're just like, I guess. And so he has plenty to work with. My opinion, at least, because we all know he kept saying this is his setup for Man of Tomorrow. My current opinion, or not even opinion, just it's a theory actually, is that Salvation is actually a Brainiac site that he just might maybe it's just a site that he just throws random things into every now and then, like just to study them. I'm curious what the plan is for, because at the end, they get there originally, there's nothing there, but when they leave Peacemaker there's all these monster sounds in the distance.
Yeah, which was kind of exciting because we know that there's something in those woods, something that Chris is going to have to deal with. But yeah, I like the idea of doing something other than Darkseid with Salvation, because I feel like it's kind of too early. If you start off this new DCU and you already make Darkseid the one of the first big threats that they defeat, it's kind of like, well, where do you go from there?
Yeah, and that was the issue with the New 52 Justice League. The New 52 Justice League starts with what they considered the biggest bad of them all right away. But that just feels... It was the issue I had with... there was something else that did that. Sorry, I remember. Kite Man. Kite Man has this issue. Kite Man, the show, starts with Darkseid and the anti-life equation as its main issue. You're like, why did you do that? Why would you make that the first thing that Kite Man has to do with? You start at the top. Even if you made another season, where do you go from there? You already started at the top. Your stakes are too high too quickly for a show that should have started off very small and then worked up to something like that, the way Harley Quinn did. Because Harley Quinn, season 1 doesn't have Darkseid right away. They deal with Darkseid eventually, but that's minimum. They start in season 2 at least. You already set up everything. So from there, it's fine to start from there. But this just going straight into Darkseid, that's a terrible idea. A terrible idea. It's like if the MCU did, in fact, start with Thanos right away. Even though it technically did, but you know what I mean. They didn't fight Thanos. So...
And I like the idea of using Salvation. I didn't see that coming. And I think it's a fun idea, kind of a fun experiment for these adaptations to take some of the comic book storylines, maybe some ideas that had potential but weren't quite as good as they should have been. And I feel like the MCU does this all the time.
Yeah, Civil War is a great example of that having happened. Because Civil War, for people who don't know, Civil War is actually a terrible comic. It's a terrible storyline overall.
And very different.
Character assassinated so many people, and it just was a very badly written storyline. So don't get me started on Civil War 2, but its adaptation in the MCU is fantastic. Its adaptation is just so much better than anything than it had any right to be. But and we've seen the opposite, of course. But James Gunn is much better about doing it than I feel like Taika Waititi is, type of thing, because he took Gord the God Butcher, really amazing storyline, and made a really bad movie. So yeah, but I'm curious to see what, because again, Salvation Run was a nothing, as you mentioned. It's you can do anything you want with it.
I remember them being on the planet. I remember Deadshot and Captain Cold and the Joker, I guess, I think Gorilla Grodd. I don't know. I guess the more I think about it, the more it comes back to me.
That's the thing. Gorilla Grodd dies or something in it. A bunch of people die.
Yeah.
I looked it up again just to be sure, because I was curious, because I hadn't read it in years. I'd forgot it existed. until somebody brought it up,
Oh
and so I
no,
looked it up again, and I was like, a lot of people just die at the end of this.
when I was watching Peacemaker, I was like, oh my god, they're doing that countdown to Final Crisis, that Lila Sturgis miniseries Salvation run. Like they're that's what they're. But yeah, I hadn't thought about none of that stuff since then.
Yeah,
Uh,
because like, why would you? Even in the context of what it was for, it was nothing.
but did you ever hear about the original pitch for that? Originally, it wasn't going to be something that tied into Final Crisis. It was going to be its own storyline.
Honestly, it probably feels like it still got that because the way it ends, it's not. This kind of
Well,
doesn't make any sense.
George R.R. Martin, and I think he was working with someone else, but they pitched this idea to DC of all of the supervillains being sent to this other planet, and yeah, a lot of them getting wiped out. It was going to have like a really high body count, and I guess that's eventually why like DC didn't decide to like go with like his version of it. But
I bet you they would do it now. They definitely would do it now.
yeah, and I think what Gunn will do is going to be more in line with that original George R.R. Martin. So I don't know if we're going to get like a Salvation movie or something, but you know, he's talked about there is like this other project that's kind of a secret project that they don't want to say what it is yet. And I am wondering, is that like what else are they like? You bring up a good possibility with it, you know, tying into Brainiac. Um, but I kind of feel like there might be something else that'll be like its own Salvation focused story.
I have like the thing is I have a feeling it will involve Superman in some way because of something James Gunn said a while back that didn't get any payoff in Peacemaker, which is that he said that Peacemaker doesn't like Superman at all. He's like he mentioned in some interview that he's like, yeah, Peacemaker doesn't like Superman, and that'll come into play or something later down the line, is what he said. And nothing ever happened. Like his Superman didn't show up in season 2. Lex didn't even talk to Peacemaker, and nobody brought up Superman to him outside of, you know, because of the Superman incident. Everybody they're keeping an eye out for portals. Like, what does that mean? Like, because Peacemaker, as far as we know, Peacemaker didn't get renewed for anything. So that means the next time we see Peacemaker might be in Man of Tomorrow.
Yeah,
For all I know.
whenever we go back to that Salvation planet, I think it's kind of funny that you know they leave him there in the wilderness and he just has like his street clothes on. It's like a
Yeah, he
Fox
doesn't even have
T-shirt,
anything, yeah.
right? It's like that. I don't know. You see that on like people's trucks and stuff, or I guess like you used to. It's not even like a modern thing anymore. It's kind
Yeah.
of dated, but
He's just wearing his like civvies. He got kidnapped after a concert or something,
so
and he's like, "What do you? You didn't even give him a gun. Like he's just there."
in the Salvation comic, all the villains are in their, you know, their colorful costumes, which is something that James Gunn has always like really leaned into, going back to that first the movie he did for DC, The Suicide Squad. But I think it's kind of funny, a bit like more realistic, that if the government captures these villains, then yeah, they're not going to be in like their costumes. They're not going to have like their outfits on. They're either going to be in civilian clothes or like orange jumpsuits like Lex was wearing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is a lot of like I remember the beginning of Salvation Run is it follows the rogues, and they clearly have all their shit on them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like, and so they're surviving because of it. But then you see Lex in like his orange jumpsuit, and then there's like Joker just in his normal outfit, sort of thing. He clearly doesn't have a bunch of his normal stuff. Like you're like it was kind of haphazardly who they picked.
Go back and read it.
Thought. I'm actually going to when it eventually.
Yeah.
I started it, and then I was like, oh yeah, I remember why I didn't like this. and that just sort of stopped.
I've met that writer, Lila Sturgis. I don't know if she still lives in the Austin area, but she used to.
You're gonna ask her about it. But yeah, I find it fascinating because it's like, what does it all mean? Because it's clear that it's supposed to be setting up stuff, but it doesn't feel like it's fully setting up Man of Tomorrow. But it feels like it's fully setting up the stakes of what's going to happen to metahumans throughout the entire DC universe.
I have a theory too. They're doing Creature Commandos season 2. What if Rick Flag uses the Creature Commandos to be what the Suicide Squad was in the comic, where basically we're gonna send y'all to go capture all the other metahumans. That like y'all are gonna go round up all of the baddies.
That'd be a great idea. Because there's one thing that James Gunn did that was a perfect thing to do, which is that everyone he hired for his Creature Commandos could be in the live action stuff. which is the reason why Rick Flag Senior is in it. I would love to see if that could like show up. Like maybe there's like scenes of them being people being thrown, and they're all actually the actual actors in their outfits and stuff.
Yeah, so here's an idea. If I was doing it, this might be something I would want to do, but I would do like a whole season of creature commandos of just like rounding, just like sending them on different missions to go round up bad guys. Like, yeah, like, go over here and get, I don't know, like Mr. Freeze is going to destroy Gotham. Go over here and get Gorilla Grodd. Just like go capture all of these people and send them to salvation. And then at the very end, just have like Rick Flag be like, I'm sorry about this, but now the Secretary of Defense wants to get rid of you guys too. So.
Yeah, that would be a great way of doing it.
Yeah, so you end with the creature commandos going to salvation, and then do something in live action to be kind of the follow up to it, and then you could have like the creature commandos there in live action. And I also think it'd be hilarious just to imagine like, is Peacemaker going to try to make like he's gonna like build his own helmet out of wood or something? There all these villains just trying to like go Castaway style, just build their own makeshift costumes.
Yeah, he's gonna have a dove of peace made out of leaves and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think that's kind of funny. Just like get like these cavemen versions of these poor people trying to hold on to their superhero, supervillain identities.
Yeah, because the show, like, shows that Peacemaker isn't smart enough to make his own gear. Like everything he had, according to the show, was made by his dad? Question mark. Well, even then, that was kind of slightly retconned recently too. And so, like, what does it mean for like I feel like it's clear that I feel like the Justice Gang Hawk Girl is gonna get thrown into this thing.
Yeah,
like, it feels like there's no way she's not after killing the despot of another country. Like it feels like that's a bit it's a bit illegal in the eyes of the U.S. government.
and this could also be something that happens at the end of the Man of Tomorrow movie. If that's the big thing we've a lot of us have been thinking is that it'll be the Lex and Superman team up to go probably fight Brainiac, but some other big threat that's going to require both of them working together. And what if they like defeat that threat, and then Rick Flag is like, "Okay, boys, thanks for your service. Now I'm sending you to salvation, so I don't have to worry about you."
You know what? That's a great fucking point. Like, what if like you said, what if that movie ends with them being like, "Yeah, we did it," and they're kind of tired, and then somebody out of nowhere just pushes Superman and Lex Luthor into a portal, and then that's just how it ends. I'd be like, "Oh shit, that would blow me the fuck away." I would stand up and clap immediately.
I mean, like I like all these ideas we're talking about. It's kind of funny to me because James Gunn said for a long time like, oh yeah, we don't have like this big plan. We're just going to make everything stand alone, and everything will be great to enjoy on its own. And it's like, okay, we're like less than a year into this, and it looks like you're already like building up to something big. But
yeah, season 2 of Peacemaker does not end the way a show normally would. It is an epilogue. It is a hell of an epilogue sort of thing for future things to come. Like, because when you watch it, you're expecting it to be like, and then Checkmate's going to be like, we're going to go take care of the portal or whatever and save Peacemaker. Instead, he's just like, yeah, we're not making another season. You're like, what do you mean? Like, why? That's not a standalone, dude. Like, how does that work?
I want to talk about Checkmate and the potential of that, but before I bring that up, I just want to do something that I think both of us frequently do, and that is complain about something Dan DiDio did at DC Comics.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
But in the New 52, I felt like, oh, they're going to create this company Argus. I guess that'll be like a great opportunity to streamline things because Marvel, you have Shield. But DC, you have a bunch of stuff. You have the DEO, you have Checkmate, you have what else is there? There's like a bunch of different organizations.
Yeah, there was quite a few of them actually, which is why I remember Bendis' storyline was about killing off like 90% of them.
Yeah, and it's like instead of doing that Leviathan storyline, y'all should have. The New 52 is the perfect opportunity to fix that. Oh, Shade is another one.
Oh yeah.
I guess that's...
A lot of people don't know any of these existed, by the way, because most people have not read enough of DC for any of that to make sense.
Yeah, but people know Argus because of Arrow, I guess. So, okay, cool.
Yeah, it just gets to be Argus. About an Arrow, yeah. Argus was a huge thing in Arrow.
In Smallville, they had Amanda Waller and a similar agency to Argus, but there they called it Checkmate. They used Checkmate from the comics.
They did, yeah.
But I guess what they're doing with the DCU Checkmate is they're going to be a little bit. They're almost like a heroes for hire type operation. They're like an intelligence agency for hire. They look like they're going to be like
So I decided to Google government agencies, and one of them is just called agency. But why though? It's an Amanda Waller agency, and it's just called agency.
The agency.
That's fucking insane. And there's one called apes. There's a lot of dumb ones in here. I can't believe this was the thing. What am I looking at? There's so many of them. Eagle's pretty good. One's just called George. Good is apparently one. What the fuck, man? Oh, there's Night Watches in here, though. Yeah, what a fucking... Yeah, I didn't realize how many of them were. Holy shit. I'm just scrolling. This is a long page. Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can... I'm gonna put this in... Oops, not.
Go for it.
I'm gonna put it in the private chat so you can see what I found. And then you can add it to the comments if you want to. This is apparently every DC government agency.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there are a lot of them.
And it's huge. My favorite, though, is still agency. That's a stupid name. It's like, what the fuck, guys?
Yeah, there's the link in the live chat if anyone wants to go have a look. But yeah, definitely a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, this is what you should have. This is why them not streamlining it makes even less sense.
Project Cadmus, that's one that gets used a lot. 7734, that's one that gets used a lot. But
yeah, that one gets used a lot, actually.
I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about like what are they setting up with Checkmate, or what's the future for that?
It's clear that Checkmate's going to be like an organization that Superman and the other heroes can like go to for help when it comes to this sort of thing.
Or possibly like Jimmy Olsen. That would be a great resource for Jimmy to have if he's trying to investigate something and he needs like I imagine like Jimmy and Ads teaming up for like some investigation.
Yeah, it would be wonderful. Like it's a good way of doing government stuff without having to be like, well, and then they have to trust Argus. It's like, well, nobody trusts Argus type of thing.
Yeah, that is kind of a good option to give like the good guys their own oh yeah, if you ever need like some plot convenience, you need someone to like hack computers or do stuff like that just to move the story along, but you don't want to have like the like the shady government step in. Then
yeah, like I can see the Jimmy Olsen show starting and him being like, well, I need help with something, and he finds them like their ad in that magazine or whatever sort of thing, like that Ads had, which I thought was really funny. But like, or maybe they have like an ad somewhere else. Like it's clear that they spent a lot of money on the new buildings and everything they have. So I'm sure I don't know why they would, but I'm sure Checkmate has advertising.
But I assume that they're preparing a Checkmate TV show spinoff. Like instead of doing Peacemaker season 3, I would just follow up with Checkmate season 1.
It would be a way better idea than another Peacemaker season because we have all these fleshed out characters now, and we can see them as a team, and we can expand on them. We can expand on the world. We can even expand on the characters of Waller in a way, since Ads is Waller's daughter. Because we don't know what Waller's up to since the end of Peacemaker season 1. She ran off.
And they had that idea for a Waller TV show, but then like they've been real hush hush on it. So I'm wondering if they're going to rework that into a Checkmate show and have her show up there.
Yeah, because it's clear that James Gunn had all these ideas before he was put in charge of the DC universe. Like before this was just this random baby that he was allowed to do because nobody was paying attention.
Yeah. That's one of the things he says in the Peacemaker podcast on season 1 when he like casually mentions Batmite, and he says like, yeah, I don't know if our Batman would have met Batmite by this point in his career, but when I was doing season 1, we were told that like no one was really going to supervise us and we could just use whatever we wanted from DC. And it didn't matter because they were going to do the Flashpoint movie and change things anyways. So just go crazy and do what you want. But now he's like, oh, I actually am not sure if some of that stuff is actually going to be canon.
Yeah, because he kept saying like only some of my stuff is canon anyways. And he's clearly saying that because he's like, I didn't expect to get this far.
Yeah,
So if I need to retcon some stuff, I'm gonna retcon some stuff.
it went from he was gonna do one movie at DC and then go back over to Marvel, and then it went to like, oh, I'll do like a movie and a TV show. It's like, oh, I'll do a movie, a TV show, and an animated spin-off. And it's like, oh, I'll just be in charge of your whole fucking universe, I guess.
Yeah, it's insane to me that this has happened, and I know people were worried about if James Gunn, and even James Gunn himself said this, was that he wasn't sure if he would still be in charge of anything if they get sold. But even Zaslav's like, no, I plan on keeping, like, if this is part of the sale, you're going to be part of it in the way that's like, you clearly know what you're doing. We need to keep this going. We made Superman, as far as we can tell, is the only thing that like made an actual like dent in our earnings for once this year.
Yeah, I keep saying it's funny because it goes back and forth, but there will be like this big story that'll break that, you know, Variety or Hollywood Reporter or someone will be like, "Oh, it looks like Warner Brothers has decided that Superman was, you know, really successful, made a lot of money, made like a big profit, whatever, you know, sold a lot of merchandise, good brand awareness, a lot of watches on streamings," and then there's always like a counter narrative to be like, oh, like that doesn't matter. It still sucks. It's like there's always this moving of the goalpost, you know, that like it's never going to be good enough for some fans, but
Yeah, everybody's just like, how come this movie didn't make $1 billion? Like, nobody's making $1 billion anymore. It's not really a thing anymore because the pandemic really destroyed people's wants of being in the theater. And so Superman did as well as it was going to in this current climate. Even some of the biggest movies that do well, no one really understands why they're doing well. Like when Jurassic World did really well, I thought that movie was terrible, and so did the critics and stuff, but still did well. And then somebody will be like, I think this movie is great, and it still does terribly. It's like, what is... No one knows what the magic sauce is. Nobody has any idea what to do with it.
People like big dinos, I guess.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, it's like no one knows. Like, the Fantastic Four did less than what people thought was going to do, and people liked it. It's like, what are we doing?
DC needs to do a dinosaur island next.
Yeah, that would be really funny. That's how you get the money, the big money. Superman and Dinosaur Island. That's the next movie.
But yeah, I mean the fact that
actually maybe that's where Salvation is. Salvation's on Dinosaur Island. Fuck it.
Yeah, I mean those could have been dinosaur noises. I've heard people suggest, you know, maybe that is what was in those woods, but
that would be so fucking funny.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was
Joel's
gonna
right.
say.
Apes does make me laugh too.
Yeah, and Eagle. That'd be a good one for Peacemaker. That'd make more sense for Eagly to join Eagle than join Checkmate.
Oh, Hunter Iggy's asking about Maxima. I would love for Maxima to show up, especially with Superman's relationship with Lois being where it is now.
Yeah,
that'd be so much fun.
I'm all for. Hunter Iggy wants Maxima and Volcana to both show up in live action. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, Volcana is very underused because she was a creation for the animated series, if I remember correctly, and she's only shown up in one other thing that I can think of, and it was in Harley Quinn.
Yeah, she's not a. I don't know. She's like, what if Livewire, but fire instead of electricity? Basically, it's like
kind of, and she had like an evil Nick Fury as her like boss or some shit.
Oh yeah, she was a government. She was a government creation. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's literally like evil Nick Fury.
I'd kind of like them to give her a different origin. It was kind of a, I don't know, not as interesting of a origin.
Look, it's all fun and games, but we clearly need Snowflame in the DCU as always.
Snowflame.
That would be so fucking ridiculous. He would have fit great in Peacemaker, though. I could see Snowflame showing up in Peacemaker.
I want to see Crypto and Eagly cross paths. I want to have these two CGI animals that I both love, even though they both look kind of cartoony. I still love them.
I love them immensely, and I would love to see them interact with each other. I want Crypto to interact with everything.
That would be
it would be so much fun.
That'd be a great episode for the Jimmy Olsen show. As if like Superman is like, Jimmy, I have to go off world, but I need you to keep an eye on Metropolis for 1 hour, or keep an eye on crypto in Metropolis for 1 hour, and then just have that be like the whole episode.
If you have any issues, just use the signal watch, and one of the robots will call you back.
And somehow they end up crossing paths with Eagly, the Prime Eagle, and just have like this big animal adventure.
I love that whole Prime Eagle thing. I know it's not going to go anywhere, but I really love that Prime Eagle thing.
Hunter Iggy says that in DCU they should put hints of other Superman villains for Jimmy Olsen's show, and yeah, I think there's a lot that you could get away with so much with Jimmy. Just like have like Bruno Mannheim be like do like a mafia story, just do like a mob story, and like you have like the scary mobster, and yeah, you could mention all kinds of like metahumans that he might be working with. Like I don't know.
Yeah, you can bring up
low level, but
yeah, you can bring up like stuff that like normally wouldn't get big TV things or movies for that matter. Like you can even bring in some of the weirder ones because I can see James Gunn doing something like that. I could see. I don't mean James Gunn's making the show, but I can see James Gunn being like, I have an idea. Why don't you try using the prankster? Nobody's really used the prankster in anything. You can do whatever the fuck you want with the prankster. He's a low level enough villain that no one knows anything about him. But he's got a shtick that would work really well on television, sort of thing. Like same with Parasite. Parasite's another great one. Depending on the level of danger you want Parasite to be on, type of thing. Like that would be
for
something
some reason. I was just thinking Silver. I was thinking Silver Banshee. Like I don't know, like Silver Banshee doing like if she's just doing like bank robberies or something for Bruno Mannheim, and then you have like this crazy Irish lady chasing Jimmy Olsen and screaming at him with sonic screams. I think that'd be kind of entertaining.
Jimmy, last I checked, is dating her right now. Like, why did like make her a little love interest of the show, type of thing. Like, there's a lot of things you could do. Like, that's the thing about Jimmy Olsen is that man is so insane that you can make anything happen in a show and no one would bat an eyelash. What do you say?
Okay, so I think a lot of the lady Superman villains, they should just put them in the Jimmy Olsen. Just have Maxima, Volcana, Livewire, and Silver Banshee, and like they're all chasing Jimmy.
Oh my god!
I would watch the hell out of that.
Powers. No, I would watch that. I would absolutely watch that. And bring in Magpie. Fuck it. There's a lot of villains that are out there that just don't get enough love.
Yeah, I would like to talk more about like a Jimmy Olsen show because there's a lot of fun questions to ask about that. I'm wondering, is that going to be primarily written by James Gunn, or he's so busy these days that you might have to turn it over to a writer's room. Like Creature Commandos season 2 is being scripted by other people other than Gunn because he's just he's getting ready to shoot another Superman movie, and like they're about to start shooting in a few months.
Yeah, like the fact that the latest news story is they're trying to get the people who made American Vandal. Like, it feels like they're going to be, like, maybe the showrunners, but he's probably going to give them pointers and stuff because he wants everything to be consistent, and I don't see him not paying attention to that sort of thing.
And his rule about, like, things only get a green light after it has a masterpiece script, and it seems like, I mean, like, I love James Gunn, I respect the hell out of his work, but it seems like that rule doesn't apply to himself. He's like, well, I know I'm going to finish the script to Man of Tomorrow, so we can go ahead and green light that one, but...
Well, a lot of it seems that he finishes the script, but the difference is that he knows how to edit it as he goes on. Whereas, like, most people, when they finish the script, it's not their final draft. Where James Gunn's first draft becomes the final draft once he's done with the movie, type of thing. That feels like he's that type of guy.
So one of the best parts of listening to that Peacemaker podcast is that not only is it James Gunn on there, but it's also Jennifer Holland, his wife, who plays Harcourt in Peacemaker.
Oh, yeah.
And she spills the beans on so much stuff about James Gunn. She'll talk about, like, he'll be talking about, like when I was writing the season or whatever, and then she'll interrupt and be like, when James is writing Peacemaker, it is the funniest thing ever, because he'll go sit in his office and I just hear him like laughing nonstop, like he just like is laughing at his own bullshit as he's writing, and he'll listen to these same classic rock songs again and again and again on repeat as he's writing.
That's God, yeah. He's such a weird guy, and I think there's something interesting about it. And the fact that his wife can be on there and just call out his bullshit is way funnier.
Yeah. No, she told some really embarrassing bathroom story that I'll
Oh my
just say, like,
goodness.
go listen to the Peacemaker podcast if you want to find out more. But yeah, that's, I guess, the risk of podcasting with your significant other. But I do that a lot on my Star Trek podcast. So
Yeah, that's one of
um,
the reasons I don't think I could ever do a podcast with my girlfriend.
all the secrets get revealed.
Yeah, you
Um,
guys don't want to know all the things that goes on in this house.
but that Jimmy Olsen show is going to be one of the big DCU things I'm looking forward to. I want more Metropolis. So, and all of those Daily Planet sets, they built all of that stuff in Georgia. It's all going to be like really easy to shoot. So yeah, if they're doing Jimmy, we are definitely getting more Daily Planet.
Yeah, and I really want, because you don't have to have Lois and Clark be the main people in a Daily Planet show. They even in the Daily Planet, it's obvious that they only do the biggest, weirdest stories.
Yeah,
Where everybody else does like the normal crime stories, the sports stories, the gossip stuff, the actual everyday things that like probably keep the Daily Planet paper actually full. Because not every story is going to be, first page, front page shit. So it's like, that's why you need Ron Troop. That's why you need Steve Lombard. That's why you need Cat Grant. Like, you need those people to do their stories that would fill up a lot more time than Lois and Clark just going after the big stories. Because as great as that sort of stuff is, Lois and Clark, the New Adventures of Superman's already done it. Why not give the rest of the Daily Planet a chance to shine?
yeah. Well, given how good both seasons of Peacemaker were, and I think Peacemaker season 2 was even better. I didn't really watch it, but I re-listened to it today while I was working, and yeah, like I like season 2 a little better than season 1. I think it just felt a little bit more streamlined and focused, and
I've heard that from everyone. Everyone who's watched the show, they've liked season 2 a lot better than
a
season
lot
1.
of people were disappointed at the ending, and I thought that was kind of weird that people didn't like the salvation stuff. But that excited me.
No, I get why, because not everybody's us. Not everybody's like watching the show to be like,
Mm.
I can't wait to see what happens in the DC universe. They watch the show to find out what happened to Peacemaker, and that show ends on James Gunn being like, you can watch our stuff all standalone and get a good enjoyment
Yeah,
with it.
that was
That's not
dishonest.
what happens in Peacemaker season 2. Peacemaker season 2 ends in a way that goes, remember all that stuff we set up? None of it pays off in any way that like feels like a satisfying ending if you for you to just watch this all the way through. Like, a lot of character arcs gets finished, don't get me wrong. Like, checkmate happens, Ads finally gets everything she needs in her life. Economos is now shown how brave he is for his friends. Bordeaux is, has changed a new leaf. So is Flurry. Harcourt and Peacemaker have now gotten past their bullshit to be together, sort of thing. Eagly hugged Economos. Vigilante finally uses his money for good, sort of thing. Like, a lot of stuff is wrapped up. Don't get me wrong. The problem is that the portal stuff doesn't get concluded in a way that feels satisfying to someone who's only watching Peacemaker, and Peacemaker gets fucking thrown in there, and it's like, so that is not something you can just watch standalone. And they, knowing full well there's not going to be another Peacemaker season, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but that's why I'm confident they got like a checkmate plan. There's going to be a checkmate TV show, and I am looking up this Jimmy Olsen stuff now, and I see what you're talking about the showrunners from writers from American Vandal. But yeah, I'll just read the thing I have on here for Jimmy Olsen. But the concept centers on Olsen as well as other Daily Planet reporters, minus Lois Lane and Clark Kent. So I guess they might cameo. They just don't want us to, I guess, know they're gonna. They want to tell us up front they're not going to be regulars. The concept centers on Olsen as well as other Daily Planet reporters who tackle cases involving superpowered villains. Gorilla Grodd would be the spotlight for the season. Grodd is a super intelligent evil ape who rules a secret African city named Gorilla City. The character is a key antagonist for The Flash and first appeared blah 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 1959. Okay, cool. So I'm a little bummed that Gunn won't be writing that show, but I get it. Like he can't write and direct everything.
That's
I'm
the
glad
thing.
that he's doing Superman since he's like my favorite creative and that's my favorite character. So
Yeah, that's the thing is that we should never expect him to be making everything. It's impossible. The reason the MCU works is because the other directors are trusted to do these other do those other movies. They're given a character, they're given a plot line, and then they're given like three things that have to happen in it. As far as I know, that's a real thing, by the way, for people who don't know. Like when Winter Soldier was made, they're like, okay, you're supposed to have a giant big third act, even though the story doesn't really call for it. Like you're still got to do it. So as long as James Gunn has like a way of being like, okay, your script's done, I like what you did, I need X, Y, and Z in it. Then you can do everything else on your own, and I trust you on it as long as you don't change X, Y, Z, so it doesn't fuck with like this guy's movie or this guy's movie type of thing, or even this TV show. I have full faith in him as long as he has full creative control over everybody's main decisions on their scripts, because you don't want anybody going rogue. You can't be making a Superman movie and then somebody makes the Supergirl movie and then Supergirl loses her arm type of thing. Like it's not happening. Although that would be really
yeah,
funny.
well, next year is going to be the big test, isn't it? Like I feel like this first year of the DCU in full swing was a success. Superman, the highest grossing superhero film of the year. Peacemaker season 2, one of the most critically acclaimed popular streaming shows right now. So those were the things that Gunn was the most involved in. Next year is going to be the year of all the other talent. We're going to have Lanterns. We're going to have Supergirl. We're going to have Clayface. All things that he did not write or direct.
Yeah, it's going to be, because as far as we heard that Clayface finished filming already and everything, so that one's actually going to happen, because we've spent years hearing WB going, we're going to make this movie and that movie and this movie and that movie, and then seeing nothing out of it. Finding out that Clayface has already been filmed, man, I've never been so excited.
This rumored Deathstroke and Bane project that keeps have you heard about, like, every couple of months they talk about, like, there's like some Deathstroke and Bane team up project that.
I know, I've not heard about this,
but I'm thinking that might be a Salvation thing, like if you have like Deathstroke and Bane show up there.
That could be cool.
But yeah, I mean, next year is going to be real interesting, because you're talking about, like, it's hard to guess, what movies make a lot of money. But I mean, next year is probably going to be a good year for Disney. Not only do they have the first Star Wars movie in a long, like, I don't know, 12 years maybe. Like, it's been a minute.
It's been a while,
but
yeah.
they're also doing Spider-Man 4 and Avengers 5. Those are going to be massive movies, right? Like, even if they're terrible and fans bitch about them and hate them and just gets like a lot of negative buzz, those movies are still going to like make a lot of money. Like, people will want to go see those.
That's the hope for a lot of those, especially for the new Avengers film. I know Spider-Man's gonna do well no matter what. It's fucking Spider-Man. I don't think Spider-Man has never, even the movies that people didn't like about Spider-Man still did pretty well.
Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 2 made a bunch of money.
Yeah, the only reason I honestly don't really know actually no, I know the reason why they didn't make another one is they fired Andrew Garfield for some bullshit. It's the stupidest reason, because he had like jet lag, because he went somewhere, had jet lag, and couldn't go to like some sort of executive dinner thing and they felt slighted, and they're like, you're done. We're not making any more Spider-Mans. You guys are fucking stupid. As much as I hated those movies, you guys were still making money.
It wasn't Garfield's fault.
It really wasn't, especially when you hear his side of the story.
But yeah, I'm excited for this Jimmy Olsen project though. That's I hope we get some more news on that. Sounds like they're moving pretty quick on that. So, but yeah,
yeah, I'm very.
Otherwise, I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on Peacemaker season 2 or how it ties into Superman or the larger DCU?
I love the fact that the Justice Gang did a lot of tryouts. I wonder if maybe it's possible they did get somebody throughout the cities they went to. I love that James Gunn was willing to show off characters that we'll probably never see in anything else, like White Rabbit, in all her camel toe glory. And then I love the fact that the other dimensions seem to be like the idea, like the Nazi thing. Like that was clearly Earth. I already forgot what the name of it was. It's a specific Earth, but I can't remember. It's the Nazi Earth is basically what people
Earth
call
X.
It. Earth X, that's right. Sorry, I was trying to remember what it was called. That there's probably an Overman there that we never saw. We do know that the kaiju seems to be a universal constant since they killed the kaiju in that universe, and that Kite Man is still a thing because, as far as we know, Kite Man was defeated in that universe as well. So I'm curious to see like just how much, because this is the reason I like his universe, is the fact that I want to see how big the universe feels overall. Because we know weird characters like Kite Man exist. We know weird characters like Clayface exist in this world. I want to see the fantastical elements continue to be done. The portal existing, Salvation existing, Lex's weird talking about watching a scaly dragon butt fuck an a glowing twink thing. That just shows that this world is wacky. We need more of that in comic book movies, and it makes me very excited to see what the future of not only the DC universe is, but Superman. Because what if Silver Banshee shows up? What if Silver Banshee is Jimmy Olsen's girlfriend, as Hunter Higgy mentions, as well as what's going on in current continuity? Like we are in an unknown territory, not because we don't know comics. We're in unknown territory because we don't know what James Gunn is willing to do and what he's not willing to do. So but what makes that fascinating is it's the first time in a long time I've watched anything comic book related, and I feel like there's a lot of love being done and not a lot of focus group stuff being done. And I think that's so much more interesting than anything else going on in Marvel.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a great point. Like, we want a DC universe where you can have things like, oh, there's a Prime Eagle, and it's a real thing, and you can just, like, drop that on the audience and expect the audience to be able to roll with it. And, Peacemaker got that, so I would love to see more of that in the DCU going forward. I guess the last thing I'll bring up, I did think it was slightly odd in Peacemaker Season 2 that they showed, like, Big Belly Burger, the famous DC burger chain. Instead of it being like a fast food place, instead of it being like Burger King, it was more like a Applebee's. But
yeah, I think part of that's because they were sponsored by Applebee's. I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of it, because I remember seeing a tweet that made me laugh. They're like, guys, the most important thing happened. This version of Big Belly Burger serves alcohol.
So Gunn actually talked about that and how it's a little different from, what is suggested in Blue Beetle. Because you have, like, the takeaway box from the burger place in Blue Beetle. That's how, like, Jaime brings the scarab home, is in, like, that burger box.
Yeah. And, and a lot of other versions of Big Belly Burger are like, a Burger King. Because it's in the Flash universe. But the Arrowverse. And it even shows up in that DC League of Superhero Pets movie. So we know they exist out there. Yeah.
So on the Peacemaker podcast, someone brought this. Someone asked Gunn in the DC Discord or something, and they talked about it on the podcast. But I was glad they addressed this because it bothered me as someone who is frequently thinking of what is Big Belly Burger, what would it be like in real life. But Gunn said most of their locations are like an Applebee's, but then they do have like their little smaller express locations where you can get takeout. So
interesting.
Because, yeah, he wants to shoehorn Blue Beetle from that movie into his universe, too, so I like
As
that.
they should. That movie was really
Yeah.
good. I'm
Yeah,
curious to
so
see what he'll keep from that and what he won't.
that was the cameo. A lot of people were like, oh, Blue Beetle's going to show up in the last episode of Peacemaker, and then, like, that didn't happen. But instead we got Nelson on a boat, so...
I'm cool with it.
Well, thanks everyone who hung out with us in the live audience, and thanks everyone watching or listening to this later. And until next time, as always, keep it super, y'all.